Let me guess you're staring at your phone again, the brutal space between silence and closure. No goodbye. No closure, just silence. Let's be honest, this kind of silence hits harder than a breakup. No explanation, no closure, just pure, deafening silence. You're not blocked. She didn't scream, "We're done," but she also hasn't said a word. It's like emotional limbo, and it's the most confusing place to be. Why? This mental loop hurts so much it's brutal because your brain can't process it. You're stuck asking, did I mess up? Is she waiting for me to reach out? Or worse, was I that easy to forget? This mental loop isn't just exhausting, it's disempowering. But here's the truth, if you don't understand how to move in that silence, you'll surrender your power without realizing it. Clarity over comfort, the real reason behind her silence. Doesn't always mean it's over. It's tempting to assume she's done with you. But silence can be a strategy, a test, a mirror, a moment of emotional inventory. She's not always gone sometimes. She's just watching, the power of reading between the lines in that silence. She's asking you a question without speaking. Who are you without me? And your reaction to her silence will say more than any message you could send. Test 1, emotional collapse. Without her attention, she used to flood your days with warmth texts, compliments, laughter. Now, silence, cold detachment. And suddenly you feel like you can't breathe. That's not just heartbreak. That's emotional withdrawal. Like oxygen being cut off. This is the test. Can you survive without her validation? Because what you thought was connection may have been dependency. You didn't fall in love with her presence, you got addicted to the way she made you feel about yourself. And when she pulls away, she's watching. Not just to hurt you, but to measure you. Do you spiral into desperation? Do you beg for attention? Or do you stay composed, rooted in your own worth? If you collapse without her attention, you prove she was your anchor. But if you hold your ground, if you stay calm in her silence, you become what few men are, unshaken. You shift from being emotionally needy to emotionally mysterious, and that shift, it's powerful. Because true strength isn't loud, it's quiet resilience. It's the man who can stand in the storm of silence and not lose himself. That's who she never forgets. That's who you must become. Test 2, does her absence control your identity? Who are you without her attention? If her silence makes you skip meals, lose focus, abandon your goals, that's not love. That's emotional dependency. You handed her the remote control to your identity. And the moment she pressed pause, you stopped functioning. But here's the truth. Real men don't fold when someone leaves. They evolve. If you're still in the gym, still clocking in, still grinding, still praying, you're showing her and yourself that your worth wasn't built on her praise. You're not seeking attention. You're moving with intention, emotional. Independence is quiet power. It's the ability to feel pain without falling apart, to love without losing yourself. And ironically, that's when she starts noticing again. Because the light in you didn't flicker when she walked away. You stayed lit, you stayed solid. And that's what earns respect, not desperation. So ask yourself honestly, are you trying to be chosen? Or are you choosing yourself every day? Even in her silence? When you stop letting her presence define your identity, that's when you become unforgettable. Because you weren't just a man with her, you were a man without her too. Test 3, chase her or recalibrate yourself. She pulls back, goes silent, leaves your messages unread. Your instincts scream, chase her, fix it, win her back. So you type paragraphs, call repeatedly. Watch her stories like a hawk, but what she's actually testing is your reaction. Will you lose your center just because she stepped away? Will you abandon self-respect to regain her attention? This is the moment most men fail, not because they cared, but because they overreacted. Here's the truth. If she needs space, honor it. Not out of pride, but out of maturity. You're not punishing her with silence. You're protecting your peace with stillness. That restraint, it communicates more strength than 1,000 desperate messages. Because real masculinity isn't about controlling the situation. It's about mastering yourself within it. If the connection is real, silence won't destroy it. But if silence breaks it, then it was never solid to begin with. So recalibrate. Refocus on your growth, on your purpose, on your inner balance. And let your silence speak one powerful truth. I'm not here to beg for closeness. I'm here to protect what's sacred, my peace. Test 4, emotional control versus emotional confusion. Silence hits, and suddenly, most men spiral. They overthink, they lash out, they post cryptic quotes hoping she notice. They try to trigger a reaction, not because they're strong, but because they feel powerless, and that's the test. It's not about her attention, it's about your emotional control. When you react to silence with panic, it exposes one truth. She owns your emotions. But the man who doesn't flinch, who stays composed, focused, grounded, that man is rare. Not because he's heartless, but because he refuses to let someone else dictate his inner world. Emotional confusion says, I need her to feel stable. Emotional control says, I am stable with or without her. And here's the twist. The man who doesn't try to prove his worth through noise becomes unforgettable. Why? Because silence didn't shake him, it revealed him. So don't let silence become a trigger. Let it be your training ground. Master the storm inside you, and you'll never fear anyone else's distance. She may forget the ones who chased her, but she never forget the man who never lost himself trying to keep her. Test 5. Do you mirror or master? She pulls back, and so do you, not from peace, but from pettiness. She's not texting? Fine, I won't either. That's not strength, that's ego in disguise. It looks like control, but it's still reaction. You're not leading. You're mirroring, and that's the trap. When your silence is just a reflection of hers, you're still emotionally tethered to her choices. You're not in control, you're just playing defense, but a man who's mastered himself doesn't respond out of spite. He responds from clarity, from integrity. You don't go quiet to punish. You go quiet to protect your peace. You're not performing anymore. You're healing. There's a massive difference between going silent because you're wounded and going silent because you've outgrown the noise. So ask yourself, is your silence a mirror or a message? Are you reacting to her or returning to you? True strength isn't in matching her energy. It's in maintaining your energy no matter what she does. That's how you stop being a player in her emotional game and start becoming a man who plays by his own principles. Test 6. Does her silence define or refine your story? She stops texting. Days pass, no call, no reply, and suddenly your life feels paused. You keep checking your phone like the next message is the ending you've been waiting for. But here's the truth. Her silence is only the last chapter if you stop writing. 2. Many men get stuck on a page that was never meant to be the whole story. They build their identity around someone who walked away. And in doing so, they forget the most powerful truth. You are the author. Silence isn't always rejection. Sometimes it's redirection. Not to chase her, but to refine yourself. If you can elevate in the quiet, go harder in the gym, focus deeper on your purpose. Strengthen your connection with Allah, not because you're waiting to impress her, but because you've remembered who you are without her. Then you stop being defined by her absence. You become refined by your growth. You become a man who doesn't need closure to move forward because you create your own momentum. So don't get stuck rereading a chapter she stopped writing. Pick up the pen and let this silence be the spark that rewrites your entire story. Test 7. Her silence might be her shield. Not every silence is a strategy. Sometimes it's a shield. She's not ignoring you to play games. She's protecting herself from emotions she doesn't know how to handle, from wounds you can't see, from the fear of getting too close too soon. Vulnerability is terrifying for some women, especially if they've been broken before. So when she goes quiet, it might not be about you. It might be about what love stirs up in her. But here's the catch. Her silence still isn't your cue to chase harder. Because chasing what's emotionally unavailable rarely leads to peace. What you can do is lead with grace. Respect her space. Stay rooted in your purpose. Focus on your growth. Let your consistency speak louder than your confusion. If she's meant for your path, she come forward when she's ready, not when you force it. And if she doesn't, you haven't lost. You've protected your energy, your dignity, and your direction. So remember, not every quiet woman is cold. Some are just scared. But even then, it's not your job to heal her silence. It's your job to honor your peace. Test 8. Can you hold peace without her participation? Ask yourself honestly, is your peace real or was it built on her attention? Because if one unread message can unravel your focus, your routine, your mood, that wasn't peace. That was distraction dressed as emotional stability. True peace doesn't depend on who texts back. It's forged in silence. It's tested when no one's watching, the man who can still wake up early, hit the gym, stay disciplined, and keep his connection with Allah strong without applause or validation. That's the man who becomes unshakable. And ironically, that's the man she never forgets. Not because he begged, not because he chased, but because he stayed centered when she disappeared. He didn't flinch. Not out of indifference, but out of inner strength. You see, women don't remember every guy who texted back, but they always remember the one who stayed grounded when she went quiet. So let her silence be your classroom, not your downfall. Let it refine you, not define you. Whether she returns or not becomes irrelevant because you've already found what's most valuable, peace that doesn't need participation, becoming the man who doesn't flinch. This isn't about games. It's not about pretending you don't care, ghosting her back, or playing hard to get. It's about stepping into something far more powerful, masculine emotional discipline. Man who doesn't flinch in silence isn't numb, he's anchored. He doesn't chase love, he attracts it. Not with sweet words or constant attention, but through his presence, purpose, and peace. She may go quiet. The phone may stay still. But your mission continues, your prayers remain, your self-respect stands tall. Because that silence, it's not the end. It's the forge. It's where the desperate, approval-hungry version of you dissolves, and the man who walks with intention, patience, and strength is born. Women are drawn to this kind of man. Not because he's hard to get, but because he's hard to shake. So let her silence refine you. Let it remind you who you are without attention. Because when your peace no longer depends on being seen or wanted, that's when you become undeniable. Not just to her, but to yourself. Final words, don't chase love, build strength. You don't need to beg for love. You don't need to prove your worth to someone who went quiet. Let your growth be louder than her silence. The next time you sit alone, staring at your phone, don't ask, where is she? Ask, who am I becoming? Because that man calm, present, and whole doesn't need applause to feel complete. Conclusion. The man she can't ghost. The real power isn't in getting her back. It's in finding yourself while she's gone. Silence is not punishment, it's preparation. And if you've read this far, you already know, you're not here to chase, you're here to rise. Drop the word centered in the comments, not for her, for you, because you are not the man who falls apart in silence. You're the man who becomes unforgettable because of it.